Okay, today we have the YASHICA TL Electro. Look at that cool little atom symbol on top. You can see that. YASHICA made a very basic camera with these. It's nothing really special. In fact, it's a little clunkier and the viewfinder's a little darker than most of the Nikons and the Pentaxes that you can find. I wouldn't highly recommend this, but it's also completely capable if that's what you end up finding. It's got a battery check button here that when you press it, I don't know if you can see that lighting up, there's a little green light that lights up right there. The nice thing about it is it doesn't use some wacky battery, it just uses a little common LR44 or a 544, this one's called. And so you can find those batteries readily available. They're not mercury, they're not a big pain to find. It's got a speeds from 1,000 down to 1 second. This little knob feels, if you can see that, it's kind of like, it's not real tight. Again, that's one of the reasons probably why I would steer you towards Minoltas and Nikons and Canons and Pentaxes before YASHICA. But if you find this camera, again, you check the shutter speeds, there's a 250. These don't even click once they go below a 30th. So here's a 30th. That sounds slower than a 250, right? Here's a quarter. That sounds right. Here's a second. That sounds fine. But this is so wiggly, I don't like that at all. It really feels like poor construction. Again, nothing special on the bottom. There's no motor drive sockets. The nicest thing is it's got a little self-timer, and it comes with these cool little leather doodads on the sides to help protect them. They're funny because you would think you would put those on there to protect the camera from the straps scraping the edges, but this one, the metal can still scratch the corners, so it doesn't really do anything, at least the way they have this on right now. I think this thing is supposed to be stretched out in a way so that the leather is protecting the camera. But God, this camera isn't worth more than $10, and it's got a screw mount lens, so it's not the fastest for changing lenses, but there's a zillion of these lenses available. And this one's nice and clean. It's a 50mm f1.7 with a little ding in the filter ring, so you're not going to get any filters on this. Again, the mirror box looks nice and clean inside. I would put a roll of film in this. I would leave this in the car. This is the kind of camera you can just leave in the car, and if you come across the Queen riding through your town, you have a camera with you no matter what. Keep it loaded. It's kind of indestructible. Also, it's a big metal tank. Nothing special to YASHICA, but again, it's not a terrible camera. I would take this over a plastic-bodied 1990s camera like a T70 Canon or any of the Nikon 4004 or 8008 just because it's heavy and it's solid feeling. The viewfinder on this is nice and clean. Like I said, it's not as bright as some of the Nikons and the Canons. Wouldn't be my first choice, but if you find one, it's certainly a good working camera. We can look inside of it. This one actually you open by pushing this little lever, it looks like. And it's got a metal blade shutter. Wow, it's got a whole lot of metal doodads in there. I never saw one like that before. But the shutter seems to be working okay. There's a 30th of a second. So everything seems to be working okay. There's a little bit of foam right here that looks a little bit gummy if I touched it. And you can see it, there's foam in this spot here. Then there's no foam here. That's because the foam is up here. So the foam is deteriorating on this. Would I use it as is? I probably would. I probably wouldn't load it in bright sun, and I wouldn't walk around with it too much in bright sun, but you could shoot a band in a bar and it would be fine in a place with not too much sunlight hitting the back. You could tape the back if you really were worried about it, but you can see the foam right here. I don't know if you can see that. it's coming off this door right there. It's actually like sticking up a little bit. So yeah, that's one of the problems with anything old foam or old rubber tends to break down eventually just in the elements. So the foam is definitely one of those cameras. You can see it's actually falling onto the table here. Right here. So I wouldn't recommend this so much if I was out looking at it. Again, $10. Yeah, it's good enough to leave in the car under the seat. All right, that's the YASHICA TL Electro X. Hope you're enjoying this series of talks about cameras, and we'll have another one for you next time. Thanks for watching.